What if Darth Maul was a dyad in the Force with Obi-Wan Kenobi? For decades, the Force had whispered its truth, but neither had truly listened. On Naboo, when the Jedi Knight and the Sith apprentice first clashed, the air had crackled with something more than hatred. It had been a storm of destiny, two beings unknowingly bound by something greater than themselves. On Mandalore, amidst fire and ruin, as they crossed blades once more, the Force had screamed between them, pushing, pulling, entwining. And on Malachor, as Maul and Ezra stood before the holocrons, their energies mingling, the Force finally showed Maul what had always been. A dyad. A power unseen for millennia. A shared fate. Maul's yellow eyes widened with realization. This was why he could never destroy Kenobi. This was why fate had kept their paths tangled, why neither of them had ever been able to truly move beyond the other. Kenobi had felt it too, even if he denied it. And now, Maul would force him to see the truth. When Maul arrived on Tatooine, the twin suns burned like watchful gods in the sky. He had spent so long hunting Kenobi, so long preparing to kill him, yet now, standing on the sands that the Jedi called home, he felt no rage, only inevitability. He did not need to search for Kenobi. Their bond was too strong, their fates too intertwined. The Force guided his steps, leading him to the lone hermit's hut in the dunes. And Kenobi was waiting. The old Jedi Master stood still, the desert wind pulling at his robes. His face was lined with years of exile, yet his blue eyes remained sharp, wary. "Maul," Kenobi said, calm as ever. "I wondered when you would come." Maul exhaled. This was not like their past encounters. There was no fury, no blind hatred. "I know you have felt it," he said, stepping forward. "You have always felt it." Kenobi's fingers twitched near his saber hilt. "You've come to kill me." Maul shook his head. "No, not this time." A silence stretched between them. The Force itself seemed to hold its breath. Maul took another step closer. "We are bound, Kenobi. A dyad. A connection unseen since the old ways of the Sith." Kenobi's expression did not change, but Maul saw the way his breath slowed, the way his stance shifted, recognition. "Impossible. You know it is not." Maul's voice was almost a whisper. "You have felt it since Naboo, since Mandalore, since every moment we have crossed blades." Kenobi said nothing, but the truth hung between them like a storm on the horizon. Kenobi turned away from Maul, gazing into the distance. His mind was in turmoil, but the Force had never been clearer. If Maul spoke the truth, if they were a dyad, then their bond was more than just chance. It was purpose. And Kenobi had spent his life ignoring the purpose the Force had for him. He exhaled. "If we do this," he said, "Luke must be protected." Maul scowled. "You waste time worrying over a boy." Kenobi's glare silenced him. "I will not leave him defenseless." There was only one person Kenobi trusted with such a task. Ahsoka. She arrived on Tatooine days later, her white sabers at her side, the wisdom of experience in her eyes. When Kenobi told her of his decision, she was silent for a long time. "You trust him?" she asked, not looking at Maul. Kenobi hesitated. "I trust the Force." Ahsoka studied them both, then looked toward the homestead in the distance, the boy who carried Anakin Skywalker's blood. "I will protect him," she said at last. "But I do not trust you, Maul." Maul smirked. "The feeling is mutual." Kenobi and Maul left Tatooine that night. Together. Their journey took them to the heart of the Empire. Maul had spent years hiding from Sidious, never daring to challenge him outright. Not alone. But now, everything had changed. Kenobi was at his side. The closer they came to the Imperial core, the more Kenobi felt it, their bond growing stronger, more defined. He could sense Maul's thoughts without speaking, and Maul could feel his. It was both unsettling and natural. "I see you are finally embracing it," Maul remarked as they entered the underworld of Coruscant. Kenobi sighed. "I am accepting what must be done." Maul grinned. "Good." But Kenobi had also begun to see something else, something buried deep within Maul's soul, a wound that had never healed. And for the first time, Kenobi wondered, had their hatred always been real? Or had it been something imposed upon them? Their presence did not go unnoticed. The dark side sensed them, a disturbance rippling through the Force. And on the throne of the Empire, Darth Sidious smiled. "So," the Sith Lord whispered to himself, "my apprentice's failures have finally come full circle." He turned to his most loyal servant, the black-armored enforcer of the Empire. "Lord Vader," Sidious said, "find them." Kenobi and Maul had fought side by side before, but never like this. As Inquisitors descended upon them in the depths of Coruscant, they moved in perfect unison. Maul's dual saber carved through the air with lethal precision, while Kenobi's single blade countered with patience and control. For the first time, Kenobi understood what it meant to fight as one, and for the first time, Maul did not feel alone. Together, they struck down the Inquisitors, their connection growing stronger with every battle. But the true test was yet to come, for in the shadows of the Imperial Palace, Darth Vader was waiting. The halls of the Imperial Palace were eerily silent. The air itself seemed to hum with tension. Kenobi and Maul stood at the heart of enemy territory, surrounded by the weight of the dark side. Every step brought them closer to their destiny. Then, the silence broke. The sound of mechanical breathing echoed through the chamber. Kenobi's heart clenched. A massive shadow emerged from the darkness, the crimson glow of his blade casting long streaks across the obsidian walls. Darth Vader. The Force trembled at his presence. "Kenobi," the Sith Lord rumbled. His gaze shifted to Maul, his voice dark with disgust. "And you? The failure." Maul's grip on his saber tightened. "You speak as if you are not the greatest failure of all." Vader took a slow step forward. "You should not have come." Kenobi lifted his blade. "Perhaps. But here we are." Vader's saber ignited fully. "I will end this." And the battle began. Vader struck first. His raw power sent shockwaves through the chamber, the sheer force of his blows driving both Kenobi and Maul backward. Kenobi countered with precision, deflecting each strike, while Maul weaved through Vader's assault with predatory speed. For the first time, Vader fought two warriors as one, and he was struggling. Maul attacked relentlessly, his dual saber spinning in a crimson blur. Kenobi balanced the assault, striking at Vader's defenses with strategic precision. The two moved together instinctively, their connection in the Force guiding them. But Vader was still the most powerful being they had ever faced. A vicious backhand sent Maul crashing into a pillar. Kenobi barely ducked in time as Vader's blade slashed through the air, grazing his shoulder. The Sith Lord pressed his advantage, his strikes fueled by pure, unrelenting rage. Kenobi felt the darkness pressing in. He could sense Maul's anger flaring beside him. The DYAD was being tested. The Force raged between them. Kenobi and Maul had never been allies. Their connection had always been defined by hatred, by the pain of past battles. But now, against Vader, that hatred could destroy them. Kenobi understood. Maul refused. "Give in!" Maul shouted, his voice raw with fury. We are strong enough to kill him together. Kenobi blocked another of Vader's powerful strikes, his breath coming fast. I will not become what I fight. Maul's rage burned. His movements grew erratic, aggressive. He could feel the power between him and Kenobi, but he wanted more. Vader sensed it. He struck hard, exploiting Maul's loss of control. A brutal force blast sent Maul skidding across the floor, his saber clattering from his grasp. Kenobi barely managed to intercept Vader's killing blow. And in that moment, Maul understood. Kenobi wasn't fighting for power. He wasn't even fighting for victory. He was fighting for balance. Maul lay on the ground, panting, watching the battle unfold. For the first time, he saw Kenobi as something more than an enemy. The Jedi was not weak. He was free. And in that moment, Maul finally saw what the Force had been trying to show him. The DYAD was not meant to destroy. It was meant to heal. With a roar, Maul reached for his saber, leaping into battle once more. But this time, his fury was controlled. His strikes were no longer fueled by rage, but by something deeper, by purpose. Vader faltered. He had expected brutality, but not unity. Together, Maul and Kenobi overwhelmed him. A perfectly synchronized strike disarmed Vader, sending his saber spinning across the floor. Kenobi's blade hovered at his throat. Vader stared up at them, his breath ragged. For the first time, Kenobi felt something strange in the Force. Regret. But there was no time to dwell on it. A presence darker than Vader loomed ahead. The Emperor was waiting. The throne room doors opened, and Darth Sidious sat in the shadows, his eyes gleaming with amusement. How poetic, the Sith Lord chuckled. The discarded apprentice and the broken Jedi, standing together. Kenobi and Maul tensed. The Force trembled around them. Sidious stood. Lightning crackled at his fingertips. "You have come far," he said. "But it ends here." Without another word, he attacked. The room exploded in light and darkness. Sidious was beyond powerful. His speed unnatural, his strikes unpredictable. His mastery of the dark side was unlike anything either of them had faced before. Kenobi fought with the precision of a Jedi Master, his blue blade cutting through the storm of Sith energy. Maul moved like a shadow, his speed deadly, his strength overwhelming. But Sidious was laughing. "You think you are equals," he sneered. "I am the dark side." Lightning erupted from his hands, sending Kenobi and Maul crashing backward. The air burned with raw power. Kenobi struggled to rise. Maul was already on his feet, his face twisted in rage. But then, Kenobi felt it. The dyad, the Force between them. Not just their connection, their potential. "Maul," Kenobi breathed. "Trust me." Maul hesitated. And then, for the first time in his life, he let go. Together, they reached into the Force. And the Force answered. The room erupted in energy. Sidious's smirk vanished. The combined power of Kenobi and Maul surged, a perfect balance of light and dark. Their blades moved in harmony, their strikes precise, unstoppable. Sidious screamed. For the first time, he was not the predator. He was prey. With one final strike, Maul's crimson saber pierced the Emperor's chest, and Kenobi's blue blade ended him. The Sith Lord collapsed, his body disintegrating into darkness. Silence fell over the throne room. It was over. Maul stood in the aftermath, breathing heavily, his hands shaking. Kenobi placed a hand on his shoulder. "The Force has given us a choice," Kenobi said softly. "What will you do with it?" Maul looked at him. For the first time, he did not see an enemy. "I do not know," Maul admitted. Kenobi smiled. "Then let's find out together." And so, the two old warriors left. Not as Jedi. Not as Sith. Drop the scenarios you would like to see in the comments, and I will pick one every week. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.